Welcome to Roots and Ruminants, your podcast for creative and innovative use of farm, pasture, and rangeland. We're going back to the basics of raising and grazing livestock, growing your own forage, and practical land use.
We are on to another episode of Roots and Ruminants, and joined me today. We've got Alex Gatormson with Renovo Seed, as well as the producer is going to be on the show, Laura. So Laura got to be on when we did those. What was that in January? We did the
year in review the predictions.
The predictions episode. Yep, she monitored it. But now she's on because she's actually our content marketing director, and she's playing a huge role with what we're talking about today, which is the Renovo Rally. And I think maybe we have to roll the R's when you say Renovo Rally, don't we? So the Renovo Rally is coming up, and that's why we've got Alex and Laura on today to talk everything about what this event is, because it's going to be a big event. And through Renovo and Millborn, we're really making this a big push to get people involved, get them out here, see it. So, Alex, Laura, why don't you guys kick it off? Alex, this is your first time getting on the podcast, so can you introduce yourself, give your role, your background, why you're here talking about the Renovo Rally?
You bet. Thanks for the invite. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So, yeah. My name is Alex Gatormson. I am now the team agronomist with Renovo Seed. I've been with, previously Millborn for the past 5 years, ever since I graduated college. Came on as a primarily sales roles in the past, and then now moved into this team agronomist role here this past year. And the main portion of my duties right now are getting some plots in place and trying to gain some data that we have found a need for that we've been lacking, and also getting a show plot going. So the first part of that is currently planted and just sprouting out of the ground right now. So I think our time is great. And it's just been super excited, something I've always been passionate about. And I'm excited to see how we can change our footprint in the industry by just giving us some better material and a little bit more hands-on learning to our customers.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I think that all ties into a lot of the goals with Renovo when it was launched as a national brand. You said it right. Like, there was maybe just a bit of a gap as far as our presence outside of our home turf, as far as collecting some data and some, infield knowledge from all of our products. And so maybe before we go further into Laura's introduction and the Renovo Rally details, can you talk on just that with the other plot work you're doing around the area?
Yeah, so we're coming from 0 plots to now we're going to have a total of probably like 5 to 6 this year, and most of them are already in the ground. We started off with alfalfas. We find that there's a pretty big opportunity in the alfalfa industry right now, and I think our varieties can go against the big dogs who have commonly been known for in the alfalfa industry. So if we can get some hard numbers and some actual proof to the research for producers to look at, I really think that it's going to give us an advantage in the future. So
where are those located?
Yeah, there's a few of them. We have a couple down kind of along the South Dakota-Nebraska border. Both of them are under irrigation though. And so those are going to be high input, really progressive producers that we're going to be weighing the test material off of, and then hopefully gaining some feed analysis data onto. And then a couple more here right around Brookings also. And then soon, about in a couple weeks from now, we're also going to be putting in our first trials at warm season forages as well. So we're going to be using all of the warm season annual forages in our Renovo Seed lineup, and we're going to have a few different trials of those going as well. We're going to have 3 of them, one of which is in South Central South Dakota, one is down in Kansas, eastern Kansas, and then one down in West Central Iowa.
Perfect. And that's so you can do harvest data and nutritional analysis off of those as well?
That's the plan, yeah. as well as what we get in our own plot here in Brookings. So,
and that's like all of our sorghums and Sudans, millets.
Yep, you name it. Sorghums, Sudans, millets. We don't have any teff going in the other 3 other than the one here in town. So we will have like a teff trial 2 here in town. But yeah, that's going to kind of encompass most of what we're doing.
That's good stuff. Yeah, that's a lot. I think
It's
covering
taking a lot of planning.
Yeah, a lot of planning, covering a big area.
Yep.
Get some details to have mapped down ahead of time. So that's good. No, I think that's something that when those results come back, I know our customers are going to appreciate that. We've done some university trials with some of those species in the past, and those have been good too. But I think what you're doing here on a larger field area is probably more crucial to what our customers are wanting and we'll learn from. So it'll be good.
Absolutely. There is a lot of gain that can be done through university data. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's the place to go when it comes to lots of information. But I think that if we're just trying to hone in on our own products, I think that we can really dive into the best practices that can go into it with like fertilizer, chemical, all that kind of stuff, and just have us better service our customers with our recommendations. I mean, I'm a farmer too, or a producer too, so like I would want that from a company who I'm buying from. So I try to view it from that side also.
So how are those similar to a corn plot where you get some other companies seed in and you plant it next to it and you take data off of it all, or what do you? Or is it?
Yeah, currently no. Currently it's just our own, and maybe we'll try that in the future, I guess. But to start with here, I think we're just more looking for numbers versus actual comparisons.
Yeah. To be honest, I think as a consumer, like you're just wondering what you're purchasing. It is funny that other plots do that. Like you compare them that way, and then it's okay to trust it. Like you put yours plus somebody else's, but yours won. Cool.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the other thing too is a lot of these. Well, for one, especially when you're talking anywhere in corn, soybean country like we're in, it's a lot of smaller acreages that we're working with too. So, I mean, we have 5, 6, 7 different options for sorghum sedans, sorghums, that type of stuff. I mean, we can fill up a small area plot pretty fast with just our own products. So,
yeah, it seems like over the last year, we've really had to expand that product lineup. As we've moved south and west, where more sorghums and more sorghum sedan grass varieties are being planted, people have their own specific reasons why they're planting it. So, I mean, I'm just thinking about the product Raptor, which is one that we brought in last year for the first year. It's a photo period sensitive BMR sorghum sedan grass. And it's like, well, why the heck do you need all that stuff? But again, for the guy that just wants to continue to cut and cut and cut or graze it multiple times, you want something that's going to stay vegetative until daylight prevents it from staying vegetative and it goes reproductive. So that product fits that niche. And so we can do that with Sormax 85, Sormax 100, Sormax Titan, like all of those fit a specific geography now too. And so as that lineup is expanded, I think it just, I don't know, it makes an even bigger case for us doing these trials and collecting all the data that we can from it.
Absolutely. And when we'll get more into it when we talk about our show plot, but when we're throwing a lot of a combination of species into a blend too, it can help us better like hone in on what actually is going to suit most needs for a single purpose.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
Laura?
What's up?
The producer, Laura Shacheka. Can you give us your introduction of why you're here and then maybe just introduce what's going to happen with the Renovo Rally this summer?
I sure can. So that's funny. When you said the producer, I thought of our product, the producer. But yeah, I typically am the behind the scenes on the podcast, being the producer. But today I'm here to talk about the kind of all the other things involved with the Renovo Rally, not just the plot, but there's a lot else we got going on. just a quick little introduction of me. Like Justin said, my name's Laura, and I work on the marketing side for Renovo and Millbourne. So typically doing things where you don't see my face like this, behind the scenes things. But for the sake of today, I'm doing a lot of the coordinating of the plot day. And so I think what's going to be really cool about the plot day is that it's not your typical, like, here, come stand in front of the plot. I'm going to walk you through all these products and then you're going to go home. We have a lot going on. So we're calling it a rolling agenda where you can kind of design your own day. So we have, for example, plot tours starting every hour. We're going to have warehouse tours starting every hour. We're going to have speakers starting almost every hour. And we'll talk about kind of what they're going to talk about too. We're going to have a great meal. That's going to be a highlight, I'm sure.
What's on the menu?
We are having either a pork sandwich or a brisket sandwich, your choice, maybe both. Some sides. We'll have the classic summer sides: potato salad, pasta salad, that good stuff.
Will the potato salad be on ice?
I hope so.
On July 2nd. Okay, that's good. Our listeners don't need any salmonella.
No food poisoning here. Let's see, cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and then of course it's going to be middle of July, so lots of popping water to keep you hydrated.
Solid.
Yes, should be a good meal.
Rolling agenda. Okay, you said so. Then what? The tours of the warehouse, tours of the plots, and speakers.
Speakers, yes. So it's kind of cool. You can tailor the day to what you want to see or what you want to learn about. We'll have speakers. We have 4 different speakers, and they're phased throughout the day. So like, say you're not that interested in the 10 o'clock speaker session, well, then that's when you can go tour the plot, then come back for the 11 o'clock speaker, and then, grab lunch, and then maybe at 1 o'clock, go do a warehouse tour, and then come sit in for the 2 o'clock speaker, and then, grab a pop and hit the road home. So it's kind of cool. You'll be able to sit in on what interests you, grab some information about the products and the warehouse when you're maybe not interested in the session, and really make the day what you want it to be. So it'll be pretty cool. I can tell you about the speakers if you want.
Yeah, tell us who your favorite speaker is going to be.
Well, that's tough because we have 2 hosts of the podcast on the speaker lineup, so I won't play favorites.
I'm going to mute you if they pick wrong.
Well, let's just go in order of what I have in front of me. I see Justin first, so congratulations, Justin. So Justin's going to be talking about practical and profitable solutions. I don't know, Justin, you want to maybe tell what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, so I did a really brief talk down at Commodity Classic that can probably be expanded. And that was like looking at your land, as a whole system, and understanding when problems come up, really trying to understand the root of the problem and fixing it with a more whole systems approach. And so I just think that kind of comes with all of our products. It fits into that type of mentality. And so, it's not only on the forage side, but it's also on the soil health side. And those 2 obviously go hand in hand. When we do one, we get the other. But that's what I'm going to be talking about. And then understanding as we go through rotations on our fields, what are the products that we can suggest and look at, and then obviously build them into that whole system with your livestock and your land.
Awesome. And what I like about, and I heard your session at Commodity Classic, Justin, but like for me, my husband and I farm, and we actually don't have any livestock. And so sometimes it can be hard for me to make these systems applicable. But I think you do a nice job of making it, finding an approach for everyone, no matter what your situation is on your farm or your business, and making it work for them.
Yeah, that's still the majority of our customers don't have livestock. So it's,
right.
We're trying to cater to that person actually. And that's where I hear that a lot from folks. It's like, well, I want to plant cover crops, but I don't have livestock, so I'm not really going to get payback. And that's not entirely true. Yeah, you might not see the immediate payback that you can pencil out on a budget in terms of harvesting something or grazing it. But when we look at this at a a holistic approach from soil health and the cost savings of some inputs, or whether it be fertilizer or herbicide or a tillage pass, that's where we start to add a budget line from what that cover crop adds in. And so we'll hit on that in that presentation too.
Well, and speaking of making it pencil out, we'll kind of jump around to the next session. Jared, our other podcast host, he is really the best in the business when it comes to incentive programs and things like that are available for farmers and ranchers. So he's going to talk about different incentive programs that are available. Some are government incentives, some are NGOs, some are from corporations and stuff. So there's lots of different things that him and his team are working on. I don't know, Justin, if you want to elaborate on that session too.
No, I think you hit it right.
Yeah.
Jared's awesome. I mean, if you've been a listener to the podcast, you understand how big of a thinker he is. And that's how he presents too. And it's entertaining and extremely easy to listen to.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Another speaker, we have Graham Finn of Union Forage in Canada. He is from Canada, and he's been on the podcast.
Yeah.
His big thing is year-round grazing. So he's going to talk about how they accomplish 365 days of grazing in Canada, which always makes me think, I mean, if they can do it there, we've got to be able to do it here, right? They have a harsher winter than us. So
I can't wait till the person in the room stands up and he's from South Dakota and says, "Yo, you can do that there, but we're too far north." Can't wait till
Yeah.
says that. Because it doesn't matter where you go, somebody in the room says that about planting cover crops. You can do that, but we can't do that here.
Yeah. So he will be able to put all that to bed.
Yep.
He's as far north as they get.
And they are doing it. I mean, it's
they are.
It's as real as it gets. We were up there in, what was that, February, March? Cows are still swath grazing. I mean, out on the field. So he's going to be fun. And yeah, if you tuned into that podcast, you understand that Graham is, he's an entertaining guy. He's funny. He's going to let it fly. He tells you exactly what he thinks. And I think that's good. When you're sitting in a presentation, I think it's good to be challenged a little bit. And he'll do that. So I'm excited. They're going to bring a crew down. Canadians, I think I spoke to him just last week about this. He's excited, and he's like, boy, I got some neighbors and some customers that we work with that would love to come down and see that. So they're planning on bringing 4 pickup loads of Canadians down. And so that'll be fun. We'll get, you talk about a networking event, and I think it's those things that start to add to it, where we'll have those guys to bounce ideas off and ask them questions as well.
No sugarcoating from Graham, that's for sure. Okay, then we're going to have a kind of a celebrity. Dr. Lee Breeze is going to be talking about kind of the agronomy of cover crops, or at least what I think of, because like I said, we don't have livestock. And so I have a lot of questions about like how will these cover crops impact ultimately our corn and soybean, which is, in our case, pretty important. So he's going to talk about really like the details of a lot of the questions that I have, like how much, nitrogen are they fixing? Are they really breaking up my compaction? What does all that look like? Maybe you could talk about his background, Justin, but I know he's got a crop consulting background right now, along with a lot else.
Yep, he's a crop consultant, and he's been a speaker presenter on a lot of these soil health events, conservation tillage conference in the past, and other soil health events, and so he is really well known. He's pretty active on social media, and so he too. I mean, we've got a lineup of speakers that I think they just kind of tell it how it is, and he's the same way. He is a big promoter of soil health practices, but he does it from a really real world approach in terms of you need to manage this cover crop like it is another crop in your system, and understand that it's not just this feel good thing that's going to accomplish everything that the claims say it does without you taking some ownership of it. And so I think that fits in line with how we try to sell cover crops too. And so obviously that's why he was invited to come down and speak, is we share a lot of the same philosophies of growing cover crops. There's some management of nutrients, there's management of field conditions, and we got to make sure that if we're doing it, we're organized on the front side and the back side of that cover crop rotation to do it right, so that we always have our cash crop first in mind. And because if we lose that, we lose some long-term viability of being a farmer. So we got to take care of that first, insert that cover crop to do the good things it does, but make sure that we're managing it correctly too. Alex, you've listened to him too. Do you got anything to add, or any of those other presentations, speakers?
No, I think you guys covered it really well. Just going off of some things that Dr. Brees has done that have stuck in my mind is he's done a lot of work with like saline soils too. And his impact that he's had on some of those scar areas are really, really good. So I think that's going to be an extremely exciting one to listen to.
Yep. So that those are the 4 presentations that'll be rolling throughout the day, and then Alex is going to be leading some of the plot tours, right?
Yeah, me and I think we're going to have to recruit a couple other guys to do it or help me out with it too. But yeah, I'm going to be outside all day, and hopefully it's not too hot. Hopefully it's nice weather because we're at mercy of Mother Nature for that. But yeah, the plot is going to be right across the road from our main office here in Brookings. So everything is going to be on site here, and it's going to be a pretty cool, pretty eventful day.
Well, I think when we first started talking about this event and bringing it on, one of the things that we've said internally a lot this year is it's the year of the customer, right? And I just speaking really frankly about a company that's grown a lot over the last couple of years. I think at times there's been a bit of a disconnect to our customers, and now it's like, all right, hold up, we really got to make sure that these products that we're recommending these customers, we are giving them the service behind in it, and we're teaching them, and we're providing the education and the service so that they continue to be a customer and support us. And so that was a big reason why this event is being put on. And so you mentioned it's right across the road from Milborn Seeds. And so for those of you in a further area that don't come and pick up your seed and we just ship to, what an awesome opportunity to come and see the place. If you haven't been here, I think it's kind of eye-opening to come through the warehouse, see the blending facilities, the packaging facility, the robot arm that's palletizing bags. It's really, really cool. I mean, all those investments were made so that we can be more efficient, so that when somebody calls up, we can get their seed to them the very next day. And so it's those things along with the plot that I think is going to make this a pretty cool event. And so, but in the plot, Alex, why don't you talk through, maybe give a high level overview of what you're doing with the plot and how you organized it and why you did it the way you did.
You bet. So to start with, like I had mentioned, it's right across the road. So I look at it every day through the window. So we keep an eye on it day in, day out. It is probably about like 3.56 acres to be exact. So like it's not a tiny little plot, but it's nothing huge. Like closer to the road, right closest to the building, we're starting with a block of forage barleys. Within there, we have the ones that we have currently been using and been supplying with for years that have worked well. But then we also have sprinkled in, I think, 3 different experimentals that we're looking at carrying potentially in the future. So I think that is going to be a great way for us, not only to see, hey, is this a viable option that we want to carry in our product lineup, but also for producers to look at and say like, hey, this actually looks really good, and this is something that I want to consider planting in the future. And then right next to that, we will have forage oats. We have 10 different trials or plantings of different forage oats and pea oat mix. We have a few different experimentals in that one too. Then we'll have a block of triticales, mainly spring ones because I planted here in the springtime. I did throw one winter in there just to see what it would look like because we've been getting a lot of calls about planting rye or triticale in the springtime here, and to see if that will actually survive a summer and just keep producing grass for grazing or haying. So we're going to be looking at that. And then moving further back, so it's kind of going to be kind of tiered as you look from the road. It's like plants that are going to be shortest, and then they gradually get taller as you start working back. So then we'll have like sorghum Sudans and sorghums. Next to them, oats. And the forage sorghum trials, we're going to have 4 different of those. plantings. And those are all going to be the current ones that we carry on hand here now. And then in the sorghum Sudans, we're going to be looking at a couple different experimentals that we're looking at possibly carrying in the future there also. Then we have a block of like warm season hay type crops, so millets, tefts, that type of deal. And next to that, we also have then like our grazing cover crop mixes. And then the furthest back, to round it out, we have all the Union forage blends that we're having come down from Canada. But an exciting place that we just decided here recently what we're going to do with an empty block that we had was we're going to be looking at a whole bunch of different hybrid brassicas. And I think this excited you most, Justin, because yeah, it's we get a lot of questions about it for one, and I think it's going to be really good for us to see, hey, this is the different seed sizes that we can be putting into blends. These plants grow well in these conditions. They rebound really well from grazing or mowing or anything like that. So we're going to have, there's a bunch in that one, probably 8 to 10, I think, if I remember right. Different hybrid turnips, radishes, rapeseeds, kales, all brassicas within that one too. So
I think you said in there twice, Scuddy, we get a lot of questions about this, so I threw that in the plot. And I think that's a good way to describe it, and really kind of the goal with this plot is let's answer some of the questions that we're getting all the time. And I think that's going to be super valuable.
Yeah, and I mean, like, our word obviously carries some weight, and people do trust us, and we appreciate that. But I think if people or producers can actually like go feel it, see it, just be right next to it, like maybe it's not quite so daunting of a crop to plant or task to take on in the future for their operation.
Will we be offering free feels?
Free feels are for everybody. Yes,
Perfect.
smells too.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things I'm wondering, Alex, is it's going to be July 2nd, and in July 2nd we've got a plot of mix with cool season species. We've got warm season species. We've got brassicas. Can you paint the picture to our listeners of what the plot is going to look like as they walk through it?
Absolutely. So I think to start with, obviously our cool season crops we want planted early. So those are already in the ground. And on July 2nd, those should be about the stage to which we would like to see them being harvested. And that's kind of why we planned the date to when we did, because I think we can encompass both warm and cool seasons at that time. Like a barley may be a little bit ripe by then, but I think it's still very close to when some guys would be cutting it down for hay. Oats are going to be right on time, same with triticales. So that's going to be awesome to look at, and we can see what we're going to be taking off if we're taking and cutting a hay off. Our sorghum Sudans, sorghums, teff, millets, those I'm hoping to get planted here at the end of May. And by that time, we should be looking about the time that we'd be taking roughly our first cutting of hay off, or really close to at that time. And so we'd be looking at that. And then the forage sorghums, they're obviously just a single cut system. So we're trying to capture as many growing days as possible there. And they won't be taken off till like September, but they will be actively growing, should be getting some height, should be a nice thick stand to be able to look at that time too.
Yep. No, I think the timing's right to see everything in terms of most all the cool seasons will be very comparable, and that's the hope. We're comparing some peas, forage peas in there, and so with the new experimentals, obviously throughout the growing season, we're going to be comparing them, and so that hopefully we can make some decisions for some new products that are better than the ones that we have. I mean, that's part of this show plot's goal as well. So
absolutely,
that will be great. Okay, so Laura, some of the details that we've alluded to as far as date, time. Can you go through those and then talk through registration, how people get it, find it?
So all the information is at renovoseed.com/plot. So it should be super easy to find. If you also just go to renovoseed.com, it's at the top. There's a little thing that says Renovo Plot Day. So find it all there, but it'll be July 2nd, like we said, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And Again, you could stay from 10 just through lunch. You could come just for the afternoon. It's really you can kind of design the day to how you want it to be. But registration is at that website, the renovoseed.com/plot. Registration is not required. It's more just so we can get a food count. So not required, but encouraged. That way we know how much potato salad to put on ice for you guys. Yeah, I mean, July 2nd, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Find all the details at renovoseed.com/plot.
And do you want to make the big concert announcement now, or is that maybe holding that? Like,
yeah.
Did you get them booked?
Oh, yep. We'll keep that one a secret.
Okay. More to come. There may or may not be a huge concert announcement. Would that be during lunch or after it all?
At the end. We'll really keep people on their toes.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the may not be.
Have a lot of mad people show up for the concert. It doesn't happen.
Turns out Zach Bryan isn't in Brookings.
We have Dr. Lee Breeze and Lee Bryce, the singer.
Yeah, there we go.
Their names sound very similar.
Catch that. Okay, so it wouldn't be a Roots and Ruminants podcast if we didn't play one game of Raise It, Harvest It, Rent It Out. Plot style.
Yes.
Okay, are you ready for this? Okay, you have a plot of hybrid brassicas. You have a plot of forage barley. And you have a plot of forage sorghum. Yes. Which one will you graze? Which one will you harvest? And which one will you rent out?
Good question here. All right.
So basic, but still a little bit mind pondering.
I know what I'd do. I'd call my Renovo rep and say, I don't know what to do.
Help me with these brassicas.
Yeah. So I think the easy one there is to graze. I would graze the brassicas. I'm a sheep guy at heart, and there's been lots of studies going out saying that grazing brassicas is awesome for sheep and breeding season. So I'm grazing the brassicas. I'm probably going to harvest the sorghum because I'm going to need some tonnage, and hopefully I can just get lots of tonnage off of one cutting, call her good for the year. And then we're going to rent out the barley just because I don't really know what to do with it for this scenario. So,
do you prefer feeding forage sorghum over forage barley to your sheep?
I prefer forage barley, actually.
So why didn't you harvest that?
Well, because I need more hay, or I need more feed, and I just don't. Yeah, I'm not. You didn't specify if the forage barley is getting planted with anything else afterwards, so
I didn't.
Double cropped.
Yeah.
Too many loopholes there, or too many question marks.
What would you do, Justin?
Probably the same. I think I'd graze the hybrid brassica plot. You know what we should do? We should do a grazing study of the hybrid brassica plot. That would be really cool.
We should. Like, I know a couple guys with some sheep too.
Yeah, if we had a 10-acre plot and we had like 1 acre of green globe turnips, 1 acre of Winfred brassica, 1 acre of Paja, 1 acre of Hunter, 1 acre of Graza radish, 1 acre of Swede. I'm going to keep going and see if I can do this. 1 acre of kale, 1 acre of Dwarf Essex rape. How many am I at?
I would say 6, something like that.
I gotta keep thinking. 1 acre of.
It would be a 7.
Oh, cover crop radish.
Yeah.
1 acre of.
Barcant
turnip.
Yep.
9. I need one more. 1 acre of. Let's just say. Oh, winter canola.
Perfect.
That's a brassica. Okay.
That would be fun.
Let's say we have a 10-acre field of all those 1 acres, and then we just let out sheep or cows, and we did a grazing preference study. That'd be fun.
Yep. We should do that. You got an extra 10 acres laying around?
Okay, so I'd graze the hybrid brassicas. I would also harvest the forage sorghum. And then I'd rent out the forage barley. I think when you rent something out too, you want it like you're trying to rent out the most familiar thing. And so you can, just say, hey, it's forage barley. You can put it up as hay. It is the easiest to manage. It's way easier to dry down. And the forage sorghum, you're probably going to chop. But I chop it and feed it. I like sorghum
Absolutely.
silage.
Yeah, and then you should tell them to like follow it up with something and double dip on their acre, and then bang, they're paying for their rent and making feed.
Rent price just went up.
That's right.
Perfect. We nailed it. Laura, do you have any thoughts about that?
That sounds like a great plan.
You asked your Renovo rep.
Yep.
One.
That's what my Renovo rep recommended.
Yep. Awesome. Anything else that we forgot to mention about the Renovo Rally?
If we did, you can find it at renovoseed.com/plot.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting event. We are planning for how many, Laura?
About 200.
About 200. So it's going to be event.
Knock it out of the water.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of, like I mentioned earlier, this is a really big networking event. So come. We forgot to mention the vendors.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Boom.
Yep.
Last thing we got to talk about is we've probably got about 10 to 15 different vendors coming. And when we mean vendors, we really mean like other people in the industry associated with the products in the plot. So for example, Barenbrug's in the plot, right? We use Barenbrug as a breeding company that we source genetics from perennial grasses, hybrid brassicas, and they are going to come. And so it's other breeding companies like that will be there. And so if you want some in-depth knowledge on kale, hybrid brassicas, any of our grains, we're hoping like SDSU comes, and some of the companies that breed our sorghums come as well. So those people will be on hand as well. We're excited about that. Now, is there anything else we forgot?
Well, probably, because I didn't realize we forgot that.
I didn't check it off as we're going here. Okay. Renovo Rally, July 2nd, 2024. It's going to be big. Come hungry, come eager to learn. It's going to be a blast.
It is.
All righty.
Fun-filled day, lots of events. We're looking forward to it.
Appreciate the time, Alex, Laura.
Absolutely.
Fun. All right. Thanks, listeners, for tuning in to another episode of Roots and Ruminants, and we'll be back in a couple weeks with another episode for you. We'll see you.
Thanks, Justin.
Well, we hope you enjoyed another episode of the Roots and Ruminants podcast. Let us know what you thought of it. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those social media things. And, if you ever have any questions, just give us a call. We've got a toll-free number here at 888-498-7333. Be glad to hear from you. Thank you.